should be open. I've worked in places where someone would say they had a doctor's note for anxiety, and it meant that they should be able to work from home on days they feel more anxious, and the manager's response was, oh, everything's anxiety these days, like really dismissing that. So that I think just a statement like everything you say now, that could impact your whole career. So I think realistically it's just being open. Like our boss, he's quite open, and I think it's when people speak from experience as well, you've got that connection. But
I really want to get on this as well, because I think like what's happened there is like the increased awareness of mental health has mean that people have started self-diagnosing, and that's really dangerous for us, because sometimes you might like self-diagnose and say that you got this, and then you start believing it, and then you actually don't know how to access to actually find out exactly is what you're doing. So I think mental health awareness is great, of course it is, and people need to talk about it, but I also think it can be very detrimental to ourselves as individuals.
Yeah, because it almost becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, like, oh, like, I have a couple of these traits, so I know exactly how it is. Yeah. But I do think it's very important to get a professional diagnosis as well. Yeah. But then it's like, with the waiting lists and everything, it's a 4-year wait for my diagnosis. I've been on the waiting list for ages. And it's like, what am I supposed to do in the meantime? Like, I can't afford to go private. Most people would go private, which is still, I think, about a year. So, kind of just left in this weird grey area. So I think a lot of employers traditionally will think that you're just working better if you're just in every day and just, doing working like a machine. But yeah, once you compare the quality of that, and I think the 4-day week was even trialled somewhere. I don't know. I know that's pushing it, but
or the compressed hour model.
Yeah.
I mean, even other things like an adaptability in how you work. Because even like working from home now, I mean, there was a demand for it before, but now there's been the possibility of it, right? With the pandemic, lockdown, Zoom, having more team-related software just makes everyday work a little bit more social, but also accessible.
What would you prefer?
I think that's a personal question, and not to me necessarily. I think some people work best in groups, right? Some jobs you need to be working with people. For example, when Richard and I are doing film shoots, I can't be at home doing a film shoot, can I? If there's a way to do it, I'd like to see it. But if every role, if some roles can be outsourced, for example, if people are sending jobs off to India, there's definitely an understanding that jobs can be done remotely. And so I guess, if people are able to do their jobs at home, even if it means flexi working, whether that's half the day do half their roles in person, have their meetings, whatever it is, not even meetings, might even be, there are certain tasks they have to do. Maybe they have to use the printer at whatever it is, I don't know. But then they go, what? After lunch, these tasks I have to do that like admin based. I like to go home, listen to some music. Whatever it is that the person needs, I think there should definitely be an awareness that people know their best work environments, and then being receptive to those when the suggestions come forward. Of course, there has to be some sort of criticality to it. I mean, I can't say, I'm going to work best in a swimming pool, but if Michael Phelps does, for example.
So how is that best achieved, do you think? That sort of informal contract stuff between employer and employee about those bits of flexibility and so on?
I think there needs to be a bit of trust, like kind of like maybe look at what your success means to you. Maybe like if it's task based, or if it's like if it's a job where it's like constantly like work coming in constantly. As in like, for example, when I worked in a lab, there was no way I could ever work from home or anything like that, because of work would be coming in constantly, and it wasn't project based or anything like that. It was just getting work done. That kept on coming through the door. Whereas if it's like more project-based kind of work, then you can just be like set tasks or like set deadlines for stuff to be done.
So not even sort of hours and days, but here's the project, here's the outcomes. Yeah. Here's the deadline, get it done by then. How you do it is up to you, kind of thing.
See, I work best with a bit more structure. So for me, coming in is really good in terms of the social aspect. And like you get chatting to loads of different people, and you can get loads of different opportunities for work in that way. So that's really good for me. But because I do 3 days a week, if it was full time, I don't know. But for me, it does work coming in and seeing people.
go as part of it.
And having set days, yeah.